What's up, Ed? How's it
What's
going,
up? What's
dude?
up? Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Good, man. There might be a little bit of background noise. Sounds like somebody's run some water up in this house. So if you do hear some water, I'm not drowning and it's not flooding. It's just some of the water system off in the corner here. I still got to put doors on that closet. Ceiling's nearly in play. You guys can kind of see all of that. The lighting here is all set. We're rocking and rolling in dungeon a la Hexa ToyLeet Arena. Um, but
Wow.
man, it's been a couple weeks. How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a crazy week.
Good.
Had
Yeah.
had a lot going on just because we had I had negative 22 last Saturday morning. Pipes froze in my house, so I was without water, running water for
Man,
several days. So was battling
damn,
that,
dude.
crawling around in the house trying to get the pipes unthawed, and all
Oh
that.
man,
And then uh ended up going for a job interview on Tuesday, which I start tomorrow, a new job. So excited about that.
good job, dude. Good job.
And just a bunch of other shit going on. My birthday was
Yeah, dude.
yesterday, so had all that stuff
And
going
I,
on.
and I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to reach out and wish you a happy birthday. I've been crazy busy the last 48 hours
That's all
myself
right.
with
You had cheer
things.
practice yesterday, or cheer comp last week,
Cheer.
right?
Yeah, we had cheer comp there, and my daughter, she fell flat on her face, and I
Oh,
felt horrible for her. She wasn't feeling great. She was really run down, and they, I pushed her. I don't want to say I pushed her. I didn't physically push her, but
right.
I said, look, I said, I know you're not feeling great. I said, this is your senior year. Your team relies on you. If you can pull it off, I think it'd be really important for you to show up and be there for your team. Um, and then, she wasn't running a fever or anything at the time. And,
Yeah.
she just had a sore throat and a cough and just wasn't feeling great. So we gave her some Tylenol. She pushed through, nailed everything during warm ups, I guess, got out on the mat. There's 4 or 5 teams they're competing against, and I'm like, why? We watched all the other teams compete, and they all had some errors and mistakes, and or weren't as fancy, didn't have as complicated of a routine, and my daughter's team is the best I've seen this school have in my time associated with the school, and I went there myself, so it's a really talented team, and they get out there and they nailed a bunch of stuff, but one girl slipped. My daughter fell on her face, but then my daughter, like, she was doing a back tuck, and kind of came down on her face and her
Yeah.
shoulder, crying. You could tell she was upset, but she went out there, and then she hit 3 or 4 other big back tuck flips and stuff. So it was a long day. She was run down. I will say she's laughing it off now. Last night, got home a little bit later because after that I had to go meet my brother-in-law and my son and nephew and watch Royal Rumble because it was International Royal Rumble Day, and that was at like 3 o'clock yesterday, 2 o'clock yesterday. So we were rocking out with that, having a blast. Come home and see my daughter. She starts sending me like TikToks where she took the video, she edited it down to like 9 seconds, and she clips herself doing the flip, and landing on her face like 3 times, like making fun of herself and everything. So she's in good spirits. She's
Good.
a little bruised up and stuff, not feeling 100% still. But it was a long day. My Royal Rumbles didn't turn out the way I'd hoped. I won't spoil it for anybody else who hasn't watched it, but it was interesting. Some anticlimactic stuff, some cool, exciting stuff, but not the surprises I had hoped for. But on to WrestleMania, the way I look at it.
Yeah. Did you get any
And how
pickups
much
this
snow
week?
did you? How much snow did you get out there, man?
I don't have any idea because I lost track, but I did. Uh, I want to say Monday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon this week. I checked the weather station that has the snow totals for the area, right?
Yeah,
And from November 24th, which of course was not our first snowfall, but it was the first one they measured.
right. Yeah.
Um, from November 24th till now, we've gotten over 10 feet of snow.
Holy cow. Yeah, we had just on that Sunday into Monday. It started around 10 o'clock in the morning, wrapped up around 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday. So just over 24 hours. We had about 20 inches of snow, give or take, at my house. So
Yeah,
it
we
was
got
a good amount.
on Thursday and Friday before that storm came, we got like 21 inches of snow. And
Oh
then with
man.
the storm, we got like another 11 or 12. but there
Oh,
was a lot of ice on top of it, that came in too.
yeah, yeah. We didn't get hit too hard with the ice issue here, which was very very lucky because I know that impacted a lot of folks and whatnot. But it's good that you're defrosted. I guess is the statement
Yeah,
to use.
we're sitting at a whole 3 degrees, I think, right now.
Yeah, yeah. It's right now it's 1 degree outside. I'm looking over here at my Google and
Yeah,
it says we
it's
got 1 degree
feels like
outside, so
negative
it's cold.
5. So yeah,
Yeah,
we're thawed out from negative 22.
yeah. That's the way it is here in New
But we're
York,
supposed to
right?
get up to 30 on Friday, so we'll all be out in our shorts and t-shirts again. So
Yeah, that's how it works, right? You'll be out there raking up leaves at that point.
yeah,
Um, Good deal. Now you started to ask me if I got anything.
yes.
Give me a second. No, I didn't get anything. Nope, I got nothing so far. No, I got a shipment announcement. I think it was on like Tuesday morning. It was like shipping out of Columbus, Ohio, and I was like, "Let me hit up the Helidope guys. Hey, did you guys ship something to me?" And Ted's like, "No, why'd you get billed?" I was like, "No, I got a shipment announcement." And he's like, "Oh no, it wasn't us." I was like, "Okay, cool, just checking." And it turned out to be something my wife had ordered, but it was not toys. I was all excited. I was like, "Ooh, what am I getting?" Um, but I haven't picked anything up myself for me. My son did get a couple things maybe a week or two ago, probably after the last show, but before last weekend sometime. He got like two or three Simpsons figures, the
Oh,
five and a
cool.
half inch scale
Yeah,
ones, um, from uh, from Target because they've been on sale like crazy.
yeah.
Like for whatever reason, and I mean they must have really bad distribution or whatever. So we ended up landing a couple of those. They're really cool. They're like
Oh yeah, they're fun.
they're little nifty figures and stuff. My son loves The Simpsons. He's always streaming it. So having that and then the toys, he's like, I gotta collect them all, Dad. So
Yeah. I
he's
got
a, he's a he's a completist.
I got that Ghostbusters Ray Stantz figure. It's the
What is
Hasbro
it?
one from the Ghostbusters Ray Stantz figure. I just took a picture of it. He's over. I can't get him because he's in the Dio still. But
Oh, okay,
um,
gotcha.
it's a Hasbro one. They were out like 2 or 3 years ago. But when
Okay,
BBTS had those specials, like when they were doing like their big Black Friday sale, they were
yeah,
like $4. So I
okay.
ordered one of him, and then I had like two other Monster Force figures, already ones that I already had, just army builder dudes that
Oh,
were my
gotcha,
pile of loot, and I had to ship them like a week ago or whatever. Else it was going to expire,
gotcha.
so shipped
Yep,
those out, and he just happened to be in there. But the other two things I got were just repeat Monster Force figs, but
good
he's a
deal.
pretty cool figure. I mean, he's double jointed, but he's got the exposed pins, and I mean, you can see the pins, but
Yeah,
cool
yeah,
enough. I mean, I'm not going to do anything with them. I just like the Ghostbusters enough to have a couple. I
yeah.
have like one of the 1/18th Ecto ones from the movie, and that was I want to say I think I got that on sale at Walmart in clearance for like $8 or something like that. And then I picked up that Ray, and I got the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man that Dave's Dimensions gave me when I saw him
Oh,
at
nice.
one of the cons here when he was doing cosplay as a Ghostbuster. So, just a little.
Good deal.
I like the movies and everything. I never really cared about having actual action figures for him. So it's
Right.
it's just a
Well, that's
little
awesome.
little collection of a couple Ghostbuster things. So, but for $4, I was like, oh, let's see what this figure's about. What the hell?
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. It gets to a point where you're like, oh, it's so cheap. Can I get that plastic? Yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't gotten too much just because still reframing up the basement here and getting that all situated, and starting to get things ready to put on the shelf finally
yeah.
and get that all organized. Just got one
I
section of the
haven't bought
movie to
anything
do.
since before Christmas. Like I said, I wouldn't
Yeah,
even have gotten these, but I had to ship my pile of loot, or else it was going to
right.
get returned. And
Yeah.
but I know BBTS. I have those three loose collector cryptid figures on order, and those are due
Right.
first quarter of January. I got Crimson Moon and Soldiers of Fortune from Big Bad Workshop, like the
Oh
monsters,
yeah.
Fresh Monkey Fiction,
Yeah.
and then Chatsworth, which is the Fresh Monkey Fiction Sasquatch
Is
figure, and those are all due the first quarter of this year. Whether they all hit,
is
I don't know, but
is that all still Fresh Monkey Fiction though, or is it Big Bad Workshop? Just all of it under that
I
umbrella now.
I think the only thing left under Fresh Monkey Fiction technically is the Monster Force.
Oh, really? See,
Yeah.
I like when I go to the
Oh,
big
and Crimson Moon,
workshop.
because Crimson Moon is, of course, the prequel to Monster Force.
But what? But when I go to the Big Bad Workshop website, all of that Monster Force and stuff is
Yes.
cross
Yeah, it's all
you know,
under the Big Bad Workshop
posted.
flag now. I think they just
Okay,
keep the Fresh Monkey Fiction tied to the Monster Force just because it
gotcha.
was always there. So
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Yeah.
they're
Well,
all the same figures, all the same accessories. So I mean, they're all interchangeable. It
yeah.
doesn't matter what you
Right. They
do.
all work together. It's all same
Yeah,
scale. Same. They're using the same buck molds and
yeah,
stuff where they can, and
yeah,
all that.
exactly.
Let's hit up the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. We got Matthew here saying, "And we're waiting, and you'll wait, nerds." And we are ToyTube official because Nolan is here hanging out with us saying,
No, brother.
"Hey, Travis, Ed in the chat. What's up, Nolan?"
What's up?
And Nolan saying, "Awesome. Congrats, Ed. Thank you. Thank you. And happy birthday." Thank you, Nolan. Appreciate that. Matthew saying, Dubin and Boreas is still probably my favorite Mythic Legions figure. Yeah, Dubin and Boreas are both awesome figures. They're probably my favorites as well. And Matthew saying, happy birthday, you old fuck. Thanks,
we're a couple
Matthew.
minutes in. I think you're
Yeah.
good.
Menhoza, what's up, all? What's up, Menhoza?
What's up, Mendoza?
This is exactly what I was thinking when you said that. Because you said she fell on her face, and a couple minutes later, you're like, I pushed her.
Well, I said I didn't push her physically.
Yeah, I know, but
the
way it came out at first, you're like, my daughter fell on her face because I pushed her. Nolan
No, I realized it. That's why I circled back.
They went from 50 degrees Celsius with the wind last weekend to +2 Celsius on Wednesday. Hopefully, our weather is crazy here. Yeah,
Cool.
I don't know what those translate to in Fahrenheit right now without looking, but
yeah. That's
cool. I think he's talking. Are you talking about the Ghostbusters one? Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, he posted that at that same time. Yeah.
And that's it for now.
Awesome, dude. Let's jump right into it then, man. I don't have anything else to cover. We don't have a ToyLeet or Toilet right now. I assume once some of these Kickstarters start coming through this year from AWalk and some of the Savages. Oh, so did you happen to catch yesterday? I think it was yesterday morning. There was an announcement. There was somebody on you're not on Facebook, so there was a Facebook group on Savage Crucible, and somebody said, "Hey, why is this stuff showing on here for sale?" And Savage Crucible had somehow on their website, their actual website where they sell their products, somehow it had integrated. I'm assuming an update or something got pushed. It integrated with other third-party sellers being able to show their stuff through Savage Crucible sales. So you were seeing some other third-party vendor that sells Savage He-Man, and you had a bunch of 30 millimeter 3D printed looking Warhammer type figures and stuff like that.
Someone must have hit a Shopify button that.
Yeah, so they fixed it. Nikki, I think, got on there real quick and she's like, "Oh, thank you for bringing that to our attention." She went ahead and adjusted it. They got it turned off and fixed within a minute. Yeah. But when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, thanks, Rob, for the 7 surprise drops this year."
Yeah,
not quite what we were expecting. I was like, "Darn!" So when I'm sure as we see some of those Savage Crucible drops this year, ZoloCon coming up, I know there's a ton of stuff coming for these con exclusives. I expect we'll start to see more ToyLeet or toilet segment stuff because there's definitely some cool stuff on the way for sure. That said,
I have a ton of stuff ordered already, so I mean it's just a matter of it, shipping in.
So for those that don't know, if it's the first time following, listening, we appreciate you. Look forward to having you come along for the journey. If you get a chance and you like what we do, hit that sub button, hit the like, and share it if you find value in it. If you don't know who we are, he's Ed Axion Figs. I'm Travis, the Mr. Wonderful. Together, we are the ToyLeet. We get together every other week. We just took over Sundays. It's our night. If anybody else is running on it, well, good luck because we're taking you down. We are, get together. We talk about plastic passion. We talk about toys. We talk about the adjacent to action figures. We talk about what's going on in the world with ourselves, that type of thing. But we kind of pull away from all the crap that's happening in the world. And we try to enjoy this. It's a moment to kind of decompress and enjoy the things that make us laugh, make us have fun. We also do the ToyLeet segment or toilet, which is where we take a figure, we determine or not if Ed's going to flush it, or I'm going to flush it, or if we're going to throw it up on one of these shelves if it's quality. We focus on the independent toys, and we also like to shout out folks that are doing cool things in the community, bring attention to things that we enjoy and we like by those around us. And then lastly, we always cover a topic, something different, something that others hopefully haven't taken a look at, or if they have, we're taking a different angle to it. Tonight, in that topic, we're going to be talking about, build the world, why modern indie lines need playsets. So we're not going to focus on your mainstream. That's other guys' shows. I think there's a guy on Monday nights who is fairly long-winded, spends 3 hours getting to it, and eventually we'll talk about his dog. Sometimes he plays commercials. He talks
Talks
about
about himself a lot too. Don't forget that.
Yes, and all his relationships.
Yeah.
With all the insiders. But he'll talk about your mainstream stuff over there at Hasbro and Mattel, Shitty 7 or whatever they like, and or Subpar 7, and then McFarlane and whatnot. We focus on the independent toys. You're talking Mythic, Savage, Operation Monster Force, that stuff. We talk about news about that stuff, but we focus on the independent lines, even in some of our main topics when we can. And tonight we're going to be diving in a little bit different about how and why modern lines need some play sets, right? Some of us still play with our toys. Some of us want to just display them. Some of us take some really cool photos and like to really dress them up, and having those dioramas or play sets really makes it easier, and how some of these toy lines can bring that to life and make a little bit more money beyond just the action figures that they create. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But before we do that, let's jump into our double click. Shout out from the Crick. This is you, Ed. I'm going to do a little 30-second runner.
Where the water flows, we're shouting out to those who know. Spreading joy, sharing love, ToyLeet fam, you rise above. Shout out from the crick, you're the best. Hype up the heroes who've passed the test.
Hey. This week's shout out from the Crick goes to Random Diorama, or as we love him and call him, Radnom.
Random Diarrhea.
Random Diarrhea, as Ted Darklaw used to call him. So Radnom has been doing a lot of reels on Instagram and Facebook over the last, probably since a little bit right before Christmas, I would say. So a little over a month. He's got a lot of new stuff that he's put up on his eBay and on his Etsy store for sale. He's doing these 3D printed like console bits. You remember the consoles that he made? So he's doing just like 3D printed like keyboards and screens and stuff that. Really cool. So you can build your own console or, tech wall or whatever you want to call it, right? So, he's got his show every Friday night, usually starts around midnight. His late night craft and chill, where he builds and teaches people tips and tricks and stuff like that, and it's good conversation. So going over there on Facebook, I believe it's Random Space Diorama, and of course on Instagram I think it's the same, and then on his YouTube channel it's just Random Diorama altogether. So
give
him a sub, give him a follow, check him out.
The text in here didn't update correctly because I did change this to Random Diorama. That's an image from his, and for whatever reason, the text didn't carry over. I think I needed a refresh. So it is definitely Random Diorama over on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, his Facebook.
He's got Etsy stuff too.
Yeah, his Facebook. He started out like with just couple thousand, followers, right? He's up to like 6,000 or 7,000 now just from posting the videos over there. So, I mean, it's cool stuff. He's got a lot of cool little tips and tricks for you. And so check it out.
Yeah. I didn't know he was on here. I just added him myself.
Yeah. He just got on. Like I said, it was probably just like Christmas time when he finally got on. He's been on from before, but had not really been active on there for a while. So
Right. I
Uh,
always just follow him on Instagram.
yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick,
That's awesome.
Plastic Skulls is here. So what's up, Action and Mr. Wonderful? What's up, Plastic Skulls?
Hey. Yeah, Random's cool. His Friday night show is always, if I have anything going on and I'm working on something in the basement, even if I'm not crafting and I'm doing something down here, getting things organized or whatever, throwing him up on the TV and listening in is such a chill thing with the music and just what he's working on. It's a very chill thing. I still think there's a market there for him to tell people, hey, here's the pieces you need to have. This is what you need this week. Let's build the same thing together, type thing.
Yep.
I still think there's an opportunity to do something like
He wants to
but something
start
like
something like that where he has
a paint and sip.
he might have he's thinking about doing a thing where he'll have like another person come on with him and they'll build the same thing
Oh,
together with their own
that
interpretation.
would be
Their
cool.
own interpretation, right? But he's
That
not
would be
set up.
awesome.
He's not set up completely yet for that. So once he's ready
That
to
would
do
be
that,
so cool.
yeah,
I
have
would,
someone
I
like
would
you or
join
myself
him
on,
to
and
do that.
hey, we're going to build a dio wall, display.
I would love
right?
to.
Just
I
see
would
what
love to do something like that. Yeah, that would be cool. Awesome. But yeah, definitely shout out to Random. If you're looking for some cool stuff, he's got some cool content. Going into the news, I'll jump in here. We got a little bit of updates from Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. We've got the screens you can see here. This came out with the weekly update last week. Primal Series 2 Brawlers update. All the Brawlers are complete and currently awaiting factory assembly and packaging in the factory. Accessories were produced early while body engineering was being finalized, helping keep production moving in parallel. Here you can see some pieces include like Kali Prime's hammer and shield. You can see other weapons for Lord Oxidus, King Hannibal, and Grimes, all prepped for painting. It's kind of hard to see just some of the images here, but you'll see that. You'll also see some additional items here, like multi-part accessories like Kali's Prime's hammer, kind of mid-assembly, and then you can see that the brawlers here are really deep into production, and the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom from Spiro Toys is really going to be pushing forward. You can see like the shield or shoulder pad here. I'm not quite sure how that'll completely work, but it looks awesome with the image on there. And then you can see here some additional images that they shared with that Kickstarter. But it's cool to see the progress and really some of these newer weapons, some of the newer bucks. I'm really excited for this stuff. Like that figure is going to be awesome. Like just adding to these, like what we've seen from these guys before. I'm very excited for that. So the progress we're seeing over the last couple of weeks has been really cool. You're on mute, Ed, it looks like.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how those brawlers articulate.
Sorry, your audio is fading on me. What was that?
And it's going to be cool to see how those brawlers articulate compared to the standard, body that they came out with first.
Well, I think that was part of some of the adjustments they made on earlier. So, I mean, the articulation with everything they have now is great. The brutes are a little tighter, right? Because they're bigger, and you wouldn't expect to be able to do the same things. I mean, it's the same thing as the guy in the gym, who's all juiced to the gills, and he's not going to quite move the same way that the CrossFit, calisthenics guys moving. So it'll be interesting. But I think these brutes are going to look, or the brawlers are going to work fairly well based on what we've seen. Up next, we got some updates from Big Bad Workshop. I alluded to this before. Some Monster Force. You can see the digital sculpt loadout revealed for the order from the next season. This is, I think, Season 3, Part 2. Shows kind of a fully planned gear and equipment setup. The character before physical prototyping. She still is in the development phase, kind of focused on a loadout balance and visual identity. Continuing to show steady behind the scenes transparency as the next wave shapes out. It's another step forward for the Big Bad Workshop. Ed, with this one, is this one that's going to come out this fall they're shooting for, or is this like next year?
It's hard to say with them because they're getting big enough that with enough lines now that they can start getting into the factory a little easier, and they got production going. It really depends, but I would say this one it might hit the Halloween release, but it's probably going to be a tough stretch.
Okay. So it might be a 2027.
Yeah, it might be early 2027.
Gotcha. And then also from that same season and Season 3, Part 2, we've got another female, which is interesting, right? Because We've seen some success in the past recently of these multi, waves, or these multi female waves where previously it hadn't been something most had tried, but
Yeah.
with the success from Valaverse, we're seeing Monster Force look to do something similar. And what we have here is Little Red, the Hunter hood from the next season, continues to evolve in the digital sculpt phase, refining the character silhouette, gear, and monster hunter identity. I thought this one was really cool because it gives you that like Little Red Riding Hood vibe to
Yeah.
it, but she's some badass monster hunter.
They showed
So
off
I thought that was
actual
cool.
like 3D render of her at Joe Fest in their panel,
Oh,
and like
oh, cool,
with her colored and everything, like painted.
nice.
It's going to be cool. I think these will sell well. I mean, people have been screaming
Yeah,
for them to do a couple female figures, so these
yeah,
are a good start. The orders some warrior nuns, and this girl's a monster hunter. I think she's
yeah.
Declan's ex-wife or some relationship to him, something like that. So
That's cool. That's cool. Love some lure. Love some
yeah,
lure. This will. I mean, you can even use this, and it goes back to like this would
yeah,
fit. This character would be a nice fit within the Valaverse line
yeah.
too, right?
And I
Like
think
we
she's
got
gonna.
some of
I
the
think
females
these
over
two.
there.
I think the two females are going to have some other characters with them. Probably armory builders or something, or surrounding
Okay.
and stuff. But so it won't be a
Cool.
wave of total women, but it'll be heavy female figures. So
Gotcha. Speaking of them building out their additional lines, Big Bad Workshop, crossover or partnership with Gridiron Studios, which previously had just been Gridiron designing the weapons on
yeah,
previous Monster Force waves. They're now stepping into what they're calling the Skull Crushers as part of their Gridiron Warfare line. At least that's what I'm seeing here.
yeah,
It's a joint release partnership between Big Bad Workshop and Gridiron Studios. Another introduction of some Elite Strike Force militia, specifically from Gridiron.
yeah. Now this
And
is
kind
one
of focus.
figure. This is just one figure with 3 different options for the figure.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
buy,
Cool.
it's an army builder. You buy 3 different ones. You can have the 3 different characters that they show here.
But the head comes with all of them.
Yeah, the heads come with all
Okay.
of them. Yeah,
Yep. So you don't have to buy multiple, but you could, and
yeah.
if you do, you'll be able to have some different variation.
And
Yeah, it's
the main head is going to have a blind bag. So there's 4 different versions, and of course, one is
cool.
like limited color way. So I
Oh,
don't.
cool.
Yeah. So
Yeah, another one that like these guys will fit perfectly in your Monster Force, your Valaverse, your
yeah,
Joes. You're looking for some builders.
they did.
This is a cool looking figure.
They did mark the owner of Gridiron as the character, and I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head, but he is the weapon supplier for the Operation Monster Force team. And these
Oh,
guys are going to be, they designed these guys basically as a separate line, but they're the same color scheme as him, the gray and the black and all that. So you can kind of put these
uh,
guys as his little,
his enforcers,
his enforcers,
his
his unit.
delivery guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
security detail. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's cool. Awesome. Up next, we got some updates from Brutal Realm. Here they, kind of show off some test shots from the factory using some temporary chrome plastic they have. For those that aren't familiar, a lot of times when you're doing your test prints, it's whatever's in the hopper. They put it in. That's what the injections get for those test shots. And, in this case, it happens to be some chrome. The results look strong. Some minor refinement is needed. There's supposed to be a backer survey going out early next week via Kickstarter, likely Sunday morning from the sounds of it, allowing for some add-ons like Cro-Magnon, convention exclusive, female barbarian warriors teased in the image and updates, kind of with some early concept directions for the top and loincloth. Final design isn't locked down yet, but it will evolve over time. And then in some of the next screens, you'll see Brutal Beasts, some early concepts, Werewolf, Panther, and Monkey King, with major updates planned. Some fur overlays, tails, larger feet, hands, some claws, and adjusted proportions. Definitely a momentum check-in, I would say, from Realm Toys with the Brutal Realms, and you can see some of those images as alluded to here with the Monkey King and the Panther here. So an update from them. We'll see progress hopefully here soon. That backer kit getting kicked out here in the next week will be interesting because it sounds like they're going to be giving people the opportunity to buy some convention exclusives before anybody has got anything in their hands. little bit skeptical of that myself. I know this is coming from some folks that have been around the community for a while. It just, I feel like we're at a point with these guys that I know there's been some hiccups. I know they're starting off, but like, let's slow down and not ask for more money up front.
Yeah.
Let's get something in people's hands so we can believe in what we're going to get moving
Yeah,
forward.
it's hard,
Not
to
being critical.
it's a hard thing, because it's like, say you go all in on a Kickstarter, and these guys had quite a few different characters, right, in their
Yeah,
Kickstarter.
13 or something.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're in for say $600, right, $700, and you've been waiting for a year and a half now.
Nah, this is almost 2 years. I feel
Yeah,
like
it was
I have to double
definitely,
check.
yeah. But
I'm
anyway,
still checking over on the side, but yeah,
long
go for it.
time, right? It's really hard to go back out and say, hey, we're going to sell you guys these pre-order exclusives and take more money from people when you haven't delivered, because I know a lot of new lines. I will just go out and buy one figure, maybe two from that line, test the figure out, see how it is, see what the packaging is like before I'll go in and buy, more of that line, because I'm not going to buy a whole line and then end up being disappointed with a whole line, right? It's like,
Yeah. And just so you're aware, just so I can be honest and truthful here, it's not been quite 2 years. We're at about 18 months or so at this
yeah,
point.
I thought it was about 18 months,
I
but
I
they've
think it's
announced it
longer in
probably
my
2 years
mind.
ago. They announced it probably 2 years ago, but the
It was
Kickstarter,
early. It was early 2024. But for me, I think my mind of thinking how far out we are from it is
yeah.
because of the fact that they had said we were going to get something out so soon.
Oh yeah.
So in my mind, we're
Yep.
over a year, or we're about a year away, because they talked about, if I remember, and don't hold me to this. And again, if I'm wrong, my apologies. I believe that they had said they were trying to get stuff out before the Chinese New Year last year, when they
Yeah.
originally were talking about it, which there's some other Kickstarters that have come out that were already done with wave one when they launched the Kickstarter, so that they could push stuff immediately. It was more like a pseudo marketing
Yeah.
pre-order type approach. So you never know if that's what you're going to get with some of these Kickstarters or not. But again, I'm always hesitant, and I recommend folks to do their due diligence and review. And I'm not saying Brutal Realm is the bad actor, but you never know. Like, when you get these big funding things, there's a lot of money involved. Like, this is almost $500,000 already that's been pledged to them. Granted, you know, Kickstarter takes some themselves, but anytime it's like, are they borrowing from Peter to pay Paul? Like, and it makes me nervous because we haven't gotten any packages in our hands yet.
Yeah.
I'm not asking for money back. I don't want to. I'm waiting on my Kickstarter because I look forward to these. I'm not going to be buying any con exclusive through the backer kit right now. I know the
Yeah.
incentive.
It
And
probably would have been better off going with like those three basic figures that they had, for the Kickstarter,
doing more
right?
what Tide Realm's doing.
Yeah, getting those done, right? And then growing from that point. Kind of like what
Yeah.
Savage Crucible said, right? They wanted to do a couple of smaller waves so they can, people can afford it, they can get it, and then it doesn't
Oh
take
yeah.
as long for production either, right? And that's
Yep. Yeah. So those are a couple updates from Brutal. Good luck to them. I'm looking forward to getting items. I'll keep my eye out for the backer kit. For those that are interested, you may be able to order something. I'm assuming the price is going to be best now, than it's going to be later. So if it's something you're interested in, feel free. Um, Four Horsemen had a couple updates. These are some big updates to me, and we knew about this. G-Con feels like
Yep.
it was just yesterday.
Yep.
But when you think about it, G-Con was like 3 months ago. Like, it's basically 3 months ago for G-Con, which is like, wow, the time is flying by really, really fast, right? Because that was Legion's Con, G-Con weekend. They made some big announcements. Fitted Legions release, Arcane the Cruel, tied to famous actor, famous D&D guy, like big into D&D, Joe Manganiello. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name anywhere near what it's supposed to be, but we'll just call him Joey M over there. And
Yeah.
um, this is a really cool looking figure, right? Like, this, I really think it looks badass.
Yeah.
What we've come from: 39 points of articulation, multiple heads, multiple hands, some flame breaths, cleaver. This is based off this character that Joe M has kind of defined in his fantasy world that he plays in, and This is normally
Yeah, this was
$99.
designed. This was a character he designed for D&D that he used,
Right.
and now
Yeah.
they're making it into a physical representation of that.
An
And
actual figure
yeah,
leveraging the Four Horsemen Studios,
yep,
modular configurable figures and parts library, and maybe some new parts. I'm assuming it is a deluxe package figure, but it's a partnership, and I know at times I've been critical of the Cosmic Legions, not because I don't like them. I mean, they're not for me, but just because I felt like they didn't have umph, and I thought maybe they should stick a little bit more to their Mythic Legions because there was a win there, and they had that stuff on lockdown. Some risky stuff with the Cosmics. We're seeing more production come out of them again. So, but this Infinite line is really impressive to me. It's a smart way to kind of cross pollinate different areas
yeah,
and
it's nice
draw
because they can do
attention.
1, 2 figures and be done with it, right? It's a great
Yeah,
way to handle it. It's kind of like their Figure Obscura line, where
yeah,
they can do 1 or 2
exactly.
figures, and couple throughout the year without inundating, another 6 to 8 figure, full wave,
Right.
right? And it's like,
But here's the kicker. I use that statement cross pollinate, right? Think about this. This is a character made in part by a famous person
yep,
that plays Dungeons and Dragons. What does Mythic Legions have coming out this year?
yep,
Or the Kickstarter, right?
yep,
Their tabletop game, right? Well, it was in my opinion, a very intelligent partnership, to connect with someone who's in the tabletop gaming community with a fairly well-known character by this guy that is on YouTube. I'm pretty sure from some of the streams of their Dungeons and Dragons games and things like that. Um, and now you put that into the Four Horsemen toy figure world. So not only are you getting people that are going to now see these fantasy mythic legions figures,
oh
they're
yeah,
going to see the infinite legions, but they're also going to find out, oh, by the way, if you think these are cool, we also got a tabletop game over here too where you
yep,
can use these cool toys. So that's, to me, it was really smart. This is normally $100, $99.99, but if you pre-order it through storehorseman.com, you can get it for $75 through February 22nd. So you got about 3 weeks from today. Pre-orders did open up, I think, on Friday night after the announcement. I still got to go back and watch that because I'm interested in it, and I know they recently released a really cool kind of like short documentary of like the process and everything. But it doesn't stop there because they also have another character, which I don't know anything about because this was announced on Friday and I had not heard about this before. But Akasana was revealed for pre-order too. She's the second figure in the collaboration between Four Horsemen Studios and JOM. Another 7-inch figure as part of the Infinite
yep.
Legions line. 30 points of
So she
articulation.
supposedly has a new hip articulation design.
Oh,
She supposedly has the most articulation they ever put into a figure, and she
really?
is basically like a wizard relic hunter for whatever the other guy's name was there.
For
This
Arkin.
guy, Arkin, yeah.
So what's interesting is this one, from what I saw online, is 39 points of articulation. She only has 30 points of articulation, from what I was pulled up online. So I'm surprised. Like your statement there is that she has the most articulation. Seems interesting, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm not. How do you do that with less points of articulation?
Part of it is probably because Dragon Seer has the extra neck. Because
Okay,
they probably meant that for a standard human character, she has,
okay, that would make sense.
because you got tail articulation and
Okay.
he's got the
That would make sense with the new hip and stuff because
yeah,
you and I have talked about how I felt there was some limited articulation in the
yep,
Mythic Legion figures, so that would make sense. I know they have a bendable ponytail and whatnot, but
yep,
this one is normally $59.99 down to $50 as the pre-order. So you can get both for $1.25, I believe, or I don't know if they're offering a combo deal or not, but you know you can get it for a little under. You can get it for a little under retail when it goes after the
yep.
22nd. So between now and the 22nd, if you're looking forward to get into these, which they do look cool, I'm not quite sold on her, but I definitely interested in this guy. I may wait until regular retail just because it's not a need, but this is a cool looking figure for sure. And we got some updates from Tide Realm, and these guys, they've been all over the YouTube channels. They were just on before this while I was prepping for the show. They were on with Brick something. he had them on. He had Quaid and Abigail, I think, is their names.
Yep.
They're the creators of this. They're all over. I think he said he's like 2 or 3 shows a week they're doing right now. I've talked to Terrence a bit about them, and he's working with them a little bit on some stuff, from my understanding. Talking to them, he's got some information. So, looking forward to hearing more about these guys. Maybe we'll get them on the show here. Even Brick mentioned they're in the show that they should come on here. So I'm going to talk to those guys and see about seeing if we can get them and the Pirates on here, because I know how much you love them, Ed.
I love them.
But they got some cool updates. If you're interested, they have their landing page coming soon. It's currently in review. So that'll get the Kickstarter landing page up there, so people can click to wait and hear more and be made aware of when it goes live. I did hear them on Brick Something's stream just before this that they were talking about most likely May, I think is what he said, and then potentially he'd love to do it in April, but wants to make sure he has all his ducks in the row, his pricing, and make sure they're in the best possible situation before they launch the Kickstarter. But that was one of their updates. And then they also had some additional images. It's actually a video, and I just grabbed a couple screenshots of the little videos they had of a couple of the characters. This is a couple of the characters that have been confirmed from the Tyrell Corsairs pirate line, developed by Corsair Creations, with the sculpting and prototyping done by Four Horsemen Studios. So Four Horsemen Studios are all over the place. They're littered throughout different lines we see here. And they did, continue to tease some of these things. You see the many different hand options.
I'm interested to see how well these things actually pose. That's what I really want to know.
Yeah.
Now, I know you can take and do a pretty good posing with the Mythic Legions, even with the limited articulation, compared to others.
Absolutely.
But these guys also have the plastic trench coats, which is going to limit some of that, So it's going to be interesting to see what you can actually do with them, because pirates are cool, and I'm very interested in this line. But if all they can do is stand here, which is how they've shown all of them, because they're just prototypes, it's like,
right.
I'll just buy a statue at that point in time.
No, I completely understand on that for sure. I'm hoping, based on the fact that they have that background of the Four Horsemen, but I get what you're saying. Even the wrestling figures that I collect, one of the things that bums me out about some of the elites is that they don't come, and even some of the ultimates, they come like the Cody Rhodes figure comes with a rubber coat, and it's long and it goes past his knees, and he's got massive points of articulation, but when he's got that coat on, he can't get down on all fours and do anything on his entrance pose, because it's not a fabric jacket, and that makes for difficulty. So it'll be interesting to see what this is, and because when you have that jacket on, they're definitely limited. Like, they're not. I mean, do they even have?
You're not going to sit them down in a throne or anything like that, right? I mean, that's just
It'll be interesting to see how that works out, because one of the things I would love is to see them. And again, they're still in the building and design phase, getting ready. Just the initial feedback I would have said to them is I would I love these. The sculpting on those jackets are great. I don't know if it's an option. A cloth jacket, a cloth coat, like that would be great as a swappable unit, or an add-on maybe. So that way I could have the rubber one if I do want to just stand them upright. But if I want to have them sitting on a throne, or sitting at the head of a table, or sitting off to the side.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately for me, right, I would pay an extra $20 per figure or whatever if his coat was a cloth wired coat that was removable, right? I mean, that's...
And you're going to lose some of the detail probably, right? Because there's some growing molds on here. I could deal with that, knowing that I'm getting all of this other articulation, because I assume they got it. But it'll be interesting. We'll definitely have to get those guys on and talk to them and find out more. But these guys are, constantly on other streams, so you can definitely check them out. I would say for folks that are just following us right now, go check out Brick Something from tonight's stream. He wrapped up about an hour ago. They had them on, and they were talking through some things. So very cool Kickstarter. I will definitely have my eyes on it. I think there's some cool stuff coming from these guys. And last but not least, V for Valaverse, Action Force figures here, and the black, as they refer to them. A couple updates from these guys. First, Valaverse, and I got caught off guard by this the other day when I saw this, but they have a tactical field gear tin setup. They have some deals on the website, I believe, where you can bundle, figure, army builder troopers as they refer to them with the bin or the tin for the tactical gear. You get all sorts of stuff in here. You can see in the image
Yeah.
comes with a crap ton of vests, different packs and helmets and whatnot. And if you've already got guns, from other ammo packs and whatnot, there is a crap ton in this. I was impressed. I was like, they had some cool vests and stuff in there to
Yeah.
build
What do
up.
they have in that weapons tin? They did like 100 weapons or something in that thing.
There was one, yeah. I still have that weapons tin, and I never opened it. Like all the weapons are in it in the bags and stuff. I never even went through mine just because I started moving things around. But yeah, nothing wrong with it by any means. But yeah, they're between this, and some army builders, and they had some, like I said, some pretty good um, bundle options to really kickstart an army if you wanted to. And I did read something. I thought they said something about getting the Reaper Vanguard drivers being sold individually too. So if you wanted to build out that version of one of the troopers, you could. The official on sale announcement should be coming sometime this week when this long awaited drop goes live. And then they had one other item, or I guess it's one more slide I'm going to show, but it's two other items. The first is the Valaverse ZoloCon 2026, the Black exclusive. And we already saw that they have, what is his name? They have that translucent special figure, the Black. Oh, the Black. That's what his name is.
Oh, the Black.
The Black. Yeah, so they have the Black, which is ZoloCon, the glow in the dark and stuff. And then the standard head, if you want it. They have that available. But they're also going to have, to debut along with the Black, a limited challenge coin, 100 total, individually numbered, plus a set of poker chips if you're into that. I wasn't all that impressed with the poker chips. I love poker, but I didn't feel the need for the poker chips. But I do think the challenge coin is cool. That I thought was they did a cool
The
design.
poker
to
chips
that.
are cool. I mean, I've got quite a few poker chips that are from like trade shows, different companies
Yeah.
giving them out and stuff. But like, is it really that big of a deal? No. I mean, like, it's cool, but those are things that I would just give out at a show because I mean, that's what people do, right? I've gone to a lot of trade shows and people just hand them out, so it's got your logo on there or whatever, right? It's like
right.
Challenge coin, it's cool. It's kind of like
that challenge coin is cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
There's only 100 of them.
Yeah,
I mean that, and the Valaverse loyalist, right? And I'm not being critical of them at all because I like the stuff that they have. But that is going to be a hot commodity.
Oh, 100%.
For 100 guys that show up to ZoloCon,
that line at ZoloCon will be huge right at the opening of that, trying to get that coin. So
they're going to want that Black coin, and it's cool. I want one. So if anyone else mail me one, go for it. I'll give you the address at some point. I love challenge coins. I think they're cool.
Matthew, hold on a second. Matthew, I don't know what that clicking is either, but I do hear it. But I only hear it when Travis talks.
What about now?
You sound okay there, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a water thing over here that clicks when it has to refill the chlorine in the water system here. So it clicks on once in a while. I think it's done right now. Sorry.
It's okay.
Get the numbers on over there.
He was just wondering what to click. Matthew was probably going crazy. He's sitting there rocking in his chair trying to figure out what the clicking is. He doesn't know if it's in his head
what's going on,
his head or if it's something else.
Yeah, and then they also had an update from the Action Force mission files digital release. So this goes back to one of the things that I love about the Valaverse is Action Force has the graphic novel that they did early on. They haven't done much with it recently. Maybe this is a sign of things to come, but they do have the digital release of all 8 mission files bundled into a single order. I think it's like $15 or something like that on Amazon. You can go ahead and get all 8, the whole 8 issues in one volume, which I think is cool. And if you're a fanboy or someone who likes lore to really strengthen, your action figures and the world around it, this is a way to go. So
did you ever get this?
Yeah, I have the graphic novel.
Yeah.
I think I've read. I have the book right on the shelf right there. The graphic novels that I have are all in a cabinet behind me. I'll be honest, I don't know if I read all 8 of them. I know I read some earlier ones, and I know I read the one with Pandora, the stuff around Pandora. So I know I saw that, and I know I read about I might have read all of them now that I'm thinking of it. It's not too long, but
No, I got it. I read it. I got it back in
it's good.
PowerCon 2023. I think that's when I picked up mine.
Oh yeah, that's when I got it.
Yeah,
That's the same time I got it. I got it in PowerCon.
yeah,
I had all the individual. I have the individual ones too, but I bought the whole novel,
yeah.
the bundle, because I wanted the bundle. Um, just collecting, that, completist, completionist in me. Awesome. Before we jump into the main topic, do you want to hit up the chat and not Punk's drama starting one that he just started?
Yeah, we'll we'll let him have his feelings.
He's a little
So we
too.
have Northern Nomad saying, "What's up,
What's
suckers?"
up?
Somewhere around here. There it is. And we have Kenzo's Creations. What's up, Kenzo? And then we got this guy saying, "Hello, fools." I don't know if he's trying to say that like, like in a Mr. T voice, like, "Hello, fools," or if he's just trying to be like his little Mexican self and saying, "Hello, fools."
He likes to give us a hard time for sure.
Yeah. Matthew saying he's a little leery of Brutal Realms, just because it's taken so long and all that.
I think the biggest thing for me with them, and that's not to be critical. Again, they got my money, and I'm hoping it comes through.
Yeah.
But they they've done things. I won't say they've done anything wrong, but they definitely overpromised.
Yes.
And
They were a little
overly
enthusiastic,
optimistic.
especially in the beginning.
Overly optimistic, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping that optimism isn't running dry, if
Right.
if you get what I mean. So
Yep.
I'm hopeful.
Nolan's saying he thinks he got 3 of the figures for their Kickstarter and possibly added on Athena.
Yeah.
But it's hard to remember what you did.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew once again saying he thinks he's done with Kickstarters for action figures. Savage Crucible was great, but don't think I could do that again. Still waiting on the first or the last wave of the Kickstarter for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
I've only done one Kickstarter, so I mean, and I don't bother with that. It's just
I think you know what that would be a good topic for next week. Next time we connect, was talking about Kickstarter, some of the length, why you should still consider it, or why maybe you shouldn't. Because I can say that I've been very successful with my Kickstarters, and we can talk about some of the ones that have delivered like they said they were going to. Because Savage Crucible was delivered on all fronts. I will. Of all of the Kickstarters, and I mean, Animal Warriors: The Kingdom, I would say they delivered on all of theirs, but I didn't back their original Kickstarter. I got all their stuff at retail. I don't have a concern with their second one because I saw the quality of the first one. I really believe they got good people running that. Savage Crucible's giving me no reason to doubt it, but we can dive deeper into that in one of our shows for sure.
Good topic.
I think that'd be a good topic to talk through.
Back to the Four Horsemen stuff. Matthew saying the female sorceress looks awesome. So does the Archon. But yeah, the female looks really great. A lot of Motu people are looking at the female for like an Evelyn type character. So Nolan likes
she reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tony's Figs is here saying, "Yo, what's up, Travis and Ed? What's up, Tony?" Said about the clicking. And Matthew saying, "Did you see the Valaverse extras new articulation for the fat body figures?" Yeah, I saw it.
I did. I didn't have a good screen cap for it.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really cool approach. Like it's a pot to me, and I didn't look at it enough, but to me, I'm curious if it just makes it even more customizable for you. Like, and is that something that they'll do beyond just? Because was that for like fat guys, or was it for like?
Yeah, it was for the street human
like
chunkier figures. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be curious if he implements something like that for other figures too.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he does it, because it definitely made it a lot easier to pull that torso apart.
That's what it looked like. Yeah.
Matthew saying the trade paperback didn't have all the individual issues. He doesn't think.
I thought there was 8 issues, and the trade paperback has all 8 issues. I thought.
Yeah. So Matthew saying he thinks that Punk is meaning it in the Mr. T way. So
I'm fine with that.
And Dave DiBiase is here saying hello, everyone. What's up, Dave? And
Oh, I got
Uh,
it
it
finally.
works with all three of their bodies, according to what Matthew's saying for the articulation for that. So was it? Yeah, that was. Oh, the Dan DBS. I'm sorry, I called him Dave. My bad.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to call you Dave, Dan. All right, man. That's it for the chat.
Awesome. So here we come. Hey, Punk, do a clock check.
Widen the
We're at one
street.
out. We're at less than 1 hour because we kicked off at 9:08. So we're at 55 minutes and we're at the main topic. So suck it. That said, we're gonna dive in here. This week's topic is gonna be focusing on world building, lore, independent toys, but really at the core, play sets, dioramas. I may use the word diorama because we're adults, right? We don't have play sets. We have dioramas. No, I think it's to be open, right? Like, so you may hear me use the word, but it's really why, not why toys need play sets or dioramas, but why modern indie lines
Have a good
need
night, Matthew.
types of
We'll
things.
catch you later.
Oh, take it easy, brother. So
And
we're
real
gonna
quick,
dive in. Yeah.
real quick, Puck saying I never actually thought about how I said that it should be said. So, well, you're gonna have to come up with something and let us know because we want to say it correctly. You know, you're kind of a big deal.
Oh, he's huge, man.
And real quick,
Short, but he's
Sig Toy
huge.
Arts here saying, "Yay, I love
So
dioramas."
sick toy.
What's up, man?
Sweet.
Thanks for
I mean,
stopping
that
in.
was a perfect segue, right? Like we shouted out random
Yeah,
diorama earlier tonight to talk about diorama slash playsets, right? So before we talk about modern toy lines, though, I think we need to rewind and really kind of rewind back to the 80s and 90s because I mean, we were kids. Some of us were kids. Some of us were adults.
yeah,
But some people like me were born in the 80s and are fairly still young. But back then, playsets weren't just accessories, they were the glue between the figures and the story. Castle Grayskull, the USS Flag, the Technodrome. They weren't just plastic, they were locations. Yes, Punk, we've heard a billion times about your USS Flag. I get it. You got 10 of them for Christmas. And 10 pirates, too, right? Or,
we got
shipwrecks.
8 shipwrecks, 1 USS Flag.
Right. But you understood who the characters were, where they lived, who they fought, and why it mattered just by owning the playset, right? That continuality, the figures, the vehicles, the environments, the lore. It brought it all together and connected it like beyond just these figures go together, right? They're in the same packages.
Yeah.
It made you feel like the line, even if you didn't have. Granted, back in the 80s, you had commercials that were 30 minutes long for toys, but
I mean, if you go back farther, right? I started out with Fisher Price little round people, right? That had play
right.
sets, and I had the castle for that, which came with a knight little dude and a dragon and stuff. But I mean, once I got done with those little kid toys, I mean, that castle was used with my GI Joes, with my Star Wars figures, with all of them, right? And it was
Yeah.
those play sets were great.
Oh, absolutely, and I'll speak to that a little bit later. How people can do some of their own stuff that gets in the customization, right? Is
Yeah.
like nowadays, and I guess I'll talk about it now, right? You see it. Playsets are still made with what is this stuff called? There's a whole aisle for it in Toys R Us back in the day. Everybody everybody gives them away on Facebook and at garage sales for next to nothing today. They did the Batman ones, the Imaginext. That's what the Imaginext play sets, right? Like, are you on mute or is my audio gone?
No, I must have hit mute on accident.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you have the Imaginext stuff out there, and I see a lot of people take that and kind of like use that as a base foundation for customizing their own, 3 3/4 inch kind of places. Because it's not, or I see a lot of them used for like even the tabletop gaming. Like people use it for like the castles for that stuff. It's not so much going to work in the 1/12 world that we often play in. The stuff's a little too small, but play sets, right? They've been around forever, but it really made you feel like the toy was beyond just that cardboard plastic that it lived in, and even the cartoons and stuff, right? It gave you more, it connected you to it, it brought everything full circle. So, and you already kind of talked about it, but is there, what do you think the best play set was growing up for you and instantly made the line feel more real?
For me, I would probably have to say either the Star Wars Death Star playset or the Millennium Falcon, one of those two, right? The Millennium
Okay,
Falcon, yeah, it was a ship, but the thing was so big when you were a kid, you weren't flying that around very much. It
that
was
was
definitely
yeah.
a playset.
Sitting on the floor, and that was your play set. It
Yeah.
was on the ground,
And
and
then
you were playing all around it.
I had one of the Indiana Jones play sets, and I don't remember which one it was. It was either the map room or the other one that they had. There's only two of them, and I can't remember which one I had as
Okay.
a kid. But and then I had a Jabba's Palace, right? So like all those, yeah, they were based on movies, but they were movie sets, right? So like I played with them with the movie figures, but I also
Yeah.
integrated everything else. So I mean, those play sets were like everything, right? I mean, the Death Star was just incredible. It was huge, right? It was 3 stories high, had a trash compactor and elevator and all that fun stuff. So
Yeah, I think back, and I didn't have a lot of places. My family didn't have the
I didn't
money, so
either. I mean,
we,
I had those three maybe, and that was probably pretty much it.
yeah. I didn't really have any play sets though because of the financials in the household,
Yeah.
but I do
I mean, I was
remember
lucky. I had a kid that lived down the road that I was friends with, whose parents were very well off, and he had
we all had one.
every place set known to man. So I take my
we,
my tiny little thing over there, my vehicle that I got, and he'd just have the GI Joe headquarters and Star Wars. I mean, like I was at my house building my play sets out of Lincoln logs, and just
yep,
going over to his house. He's got them all, store bought ones. So I was
yep,
diorama
absolutely.
building before I even knew what it was.
Yep, yep. And I mean, my buddy had a lot of the Jurassic Park back in '93. He
Yeah.
was a huge dinosaur nerd, so he had all that stuff. But I remember having some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff, and I had like some of the vehicles, the pizza shooting vans and things like
Yeah.
that. I think I had some sewer setup, if I remember. I may have just made that up in my mind, though. I don't remember
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
mean,
But I
I
did
was
the one play set that I had. The one play set that I had that I consistently had and they were shit until maybe 15 years ago. I'll let you guess, Ed. What play set do you think Travis always had as a kid?
a wrestling ring.
Yep, that was my play set, a wrestling ring. Yep, that was it. I did have that. I did
Yeah.
get a wrestling ring multiple times. The
Yeah.
thing was, they were so brittle. The
Yeah.
ropes always were so they were so tight. They would always pull the corner posts in, and the corner posts would come in, and they'd get warped and bent, and then they break, and
Yeah.
they
It
just
was kind
sucked.
of funny when I was
Um,
a kid. I had a cousin who, his mom lived in Florida. His dad lived up here. So he always came up here for the summer, and his birthday was in the summer. Every summer, for his birthday, he'd get all sorts of the GI Joe, official vehicles, right?
oh
And
yeah,
my family, my dad was a mechanic, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and there was three of us, so we didn't get a lot of the name brand. I got a lot of name brand figures, because they were
yep,
a couple of bucks, right? But vehicles and stuff, I usually got, unless it was Christmas time, I usually got something that was off-branded. But I remember, like, I had a bunch of like Tonka style vehicles, right? They weren't Tonka, but they were that metal,
gotcha. Yeah,
but they fit the 3 3/4 inch figures perfectly, right? But
yeah,
my vehicles lasted. My cousin would break his vamp or whatever, 2 days after he got it, and here I am playing with my metal
oh yeah,
Jeep,
yeah,
smashing it into walls, driving it down hills, rolling it down, stairs. Didn't matter. That
yeah.
thing just kept going.
Right, right. Yeah. So like there's play sets, and but that was like what made them really cool is
Oh
like
yeah,
you could pack that stuff up, go out in the yard, or on the floor, and you had a whole world like. So like play sets are a big thing, and nowadays there's so many out there. There's some really cool people like Random Diorama that make diorama pieces and playset areas, right? Like, and I think the thing that he was selling over on Hello Dope Toys could fall into that kind of like
yeah. It was definitely a playset. That's what it was. It
a
was called
playset,
the
right?
catwalk playset. Is what that was called.
Yeah, yeah. So those are really cool. And what it was is like back then, like kids, they didn't just pose figures, right? They staged wars. We staged tons of
Oh
wars.
yeah, 100%.
It's funny. I went upstairs yesterday, or no, it was Friday night, and I went, check on my little guy, and I go in there, and my oldest has moved out, so he is thousand Marvel Legends, like, and he's got all the HasLabs of them, the Sentinels, the Galactus, all that stuff, right? There's only a few things my oldest was like, oh, I'm gonna definitely take these with me, like some of those HasLabs and certain things he wanted to take with him. But I go in my youngest's room and I was like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't see the Xbox, and I figured you'd be up here playing with your buddy. He's like, oh no. He's got all the legends all over the place. He's got a battle going all the way around his room and all on the floor. So, like, if he had some dioramas for that stuff, he'd be living it up. He doesn't, So definitely need to get some play sets and stuff out there. That said, we're going to talk about kind of like that was the mainstream. Let's talk about, like, let's fast forward to today, right? And independent lines are absolutely crushing it, right? Like, we showed you the news, some really cool stuff. And if you're not collecting independent toys, I feel bad for you. You get, in my opinion, ignore the Kickstarter aspect of things and just focus on what you can get at a retail price from these independent toys. You are getting a better product for nearly the same price, or in some cases cheaper, than the product you get at like a retail big box store from Hasbro and Mattel. There are very few lines out there that aren't at an independent line doing more for less than what you get from those guys. So the one thing that these guys are missing, though, they've brought the vehicles in. I'd argue that the Mythic Legions have brought the vehicles in, right? They got the dragons,
Yeah.
right? They got the dragon coming, so they got these things. But what these folks are missing are the dioramas. They're missing the play sets. They're crushing it with character design, articulation, sculpt, all of it's covered. But there's the gap in the fact that there's no physical worlds. If you went to PowerCon 2023 like I did, and Ed, and anyone else that was in attendance, you walked past booths. Savage Crucible didn't have anything really in the way of like dio type stuff.
No, not really.
Little things. They had like little things like a stone for the ball.
Yeah, they had like display stands or whatever you'd like to call them, like individual figure displays, right? But nothing, something you could add to a diorama and make it really cool looking, but nothing that's like, I'm going to play with this rock all day that this guy's standing.
Valaverse did. Animal Warriors of the Kingdom did. Animal Warriors of the Kingdom had that really cool hut
treehouse thing. Yeah.
The treehouse thing, which is like directly from the graphic novel. The Valaverse had, and they bring it everywhere. He brings that big glass panel that you can't get, the plexiglass panel you can't get past, and he's got a really cool dio set up. And it's a play set, and it's really, really cool. Like Valaverse, Mythic Legions, and Warriors of the Kingdom, Savage Crucible, Operation Monster Force, they all have lore, right? Like, they all have it. But imagine how much stronger the lore becomes for us collectors when we can actually step those figures into those worlds.
Yeah.
Playsets don't just support the storytelling, they invite people into it completely. They allow them to immerse themselves in it and immerse these characters in it. We tried creating our own.
The one thing that they're missing, right, is that most of us adult collectors, I would say probably at least 50% of the adult collectors are also into actual toy photography, right?
Yeah.
Not just like snapping a posed picture. There's a lot of guys that just do that, but like realistic, toy photography where you're trying to get it to look like the dude's real, right?
Yeah.
And we all have to build our own dioramas and stuff like that. But like, that's a whole nother market of people, of play. Like, that's what I was trying to say, is that's the type of play that we do nowadays, right? Most of us are not on the ground going, pew, 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 and having a battle. We'll set one up, maybe stage it, but we're not doing the motions, right? We're setting it up to take a picture. So they're missing out technically on that aspect of the play for the adult toy line, for the adult collector, right? It's like,
so I completely agree with you. And I guess you kind of covered one of the bullets I had here, which was with these dioramas or with these play sets, it's where toy photography can explode, right? Because now somebody who may not be as creative, and yeah, you could purchase the stuff from Etsy or other creators, and Legions Con's a huge example of that, because everyone on the floor that isn't selling, Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions, or 3D printed heads are selling some sort of dio pieces and different things like that, right? It's a massive creators, paradise there. But if these lines wanted to expand and take some of that market real estate that exists there, why not?
Yeah.
Because you have Mythic Legions has grown, and I'm not saying they aren't going to grow anymore. I think they're doing very good strategically aligning, as I said before, with the tabletop community because of the GOM collaboration, and they're doing a really good job with that. But you have folks like the Savage Crucible, and they're connected with trying to draw folks in from the Frazetta library stuff, right? Like that's piece. Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, I think it's pretty well, we're well aware that Animal Warriors of the Kingdom is a great product. They have a great lore. They don't have the cartoon for kids or someone to get drawn into.
Yep.
And they're not getting the market share that they want because it's just not out there. Well, how can you immerse these kids or adults, whatever you want to call them, into this a little bit deeper? I think it's starting to pull in and make it easy for these consumers and these toy photographers to start to take photos with additional artifacts and pieces like playsets, dioramas
Yeah.
that are directly curated from the material by the creators.
Yep.
And Valaverse can do the same thing, right?
Like, realistically, if you think about it, right? If you're going to go out and buy like a really well done, decent sized diorama, you're dropping a few $100 on that bad boy, no matter what, right?
Yeah.
So it would be, I'm not going to say it would be easy because it's not be easy, but it wouldn't be a far stretch to come out with, say, like an AWOC hut thing like they had at PowerCon, right? That type of diorama in plastic, maybe it folds up and you can open it up, whatever, right? If that was a couple $100, there's a lot of guys out there that are just going to buy that because A, it's legit AWOC, branded, right? And B,
Yeah.
they don't have the talent to build the dio themselves. And C, they're going to drop $300 to get that thing built by somebody else anyway. So why not just
Who
spend
might take
200?
2 years to get it to them.
Right, exactly. It
Right?
may not be
Like,
exactly what they're looking for,
yeah.
So, if you could do that type of hut thing for $200, let's say, I mean, I think people would be all over it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you had to pick one of those lines, I've got Savage, Vala, and AWOC, but we talked about Mythic Legions, Operation Monster Force. If you had to pick one of those lines, and it doesn't have to be Monster Force because that's your favorite, it could be any of them, but it could be Monster Force. Which one of those would benefit the most from some sort of small environment piece and would jump out to you?
I would say I'd say two answers. I'd either go with AWOC or Savage. And the reason why is that they're both like sitting on the cusp of the Mythic Legions group, right? And I think that offering something like a play set for either one of them would put them up on the next level, right? It would bring them something that's not offered and still be tied to that line. I think it would just level them up to that next level.
And I think you hit it on the head. I think it does a couple different things, and I would have said the same too. I think, and I'll take a step back. I think you could do it with any of them. I think the first one to do it is probably going to win faster.
Right, 100%.
I think Valaverse or Operations Monster Force could create the same or a similar thing.
Yeah.
And I think whichever one creates it, it's going to mutually be beneficial across brands.
I think the difference, though, is like if you take Valaverse, G.I. Joe, Monster Force, right? They're all living in this kind of real world that we already live in, right? So
Right.
putting them out in the lawn or something like that, or in front of a brick wall that you might have, that's even just a printed picture of a brick wall, you can fudge that enough to make it work. Whereas,
Yeah.
like with Mythic and AWOC and Savage Crucible, they live in a fantasy world, which is not
Right.
as easy to recreate without having a bunch of different things to recreate it with.
And here's what I think. I think if Savage or Animal Warriors, I think if one of those groups were to do it, they're touching on a gap, as you alluded to, in the market that isn't being done. There's already a front runner in Mythic Legions doing all of this other stuff.
Yep.
And let's be honest, how many Mythic Legions folks don't know about Savage, don't know about Animal Warriors of the Kingdom? And of those people, how many would Savage and Animal Wars of the Kingdom benefit from being aware of their product if they found out there was a diorama pieces that
Yeah.
were available or a play set that they could access that they would just pull because it
Yep.
would work on all three fronts, right?
At
So
Joe Fest this past year, right, at the Savage booth, they had basically like a Viking looking boat, and all it was just a boat, right?
oh yeah,
The Viking boat, and I mean, even something like that as a playset, you know, where you could put 3, 4, 7 figures, whatever it would hold in there, you know, you're talking, you got a display, you got a photo, you know, backdrop, whatever, and a playset all built into one. And it's not even that deep. I mean, not that it's not detailed. It's not even that big of a thing. You know what I mean? It's not a tavern or a castle or you know something like
right,
that, right?
right. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. That kind of falls into vehicles, which folks have already done, right? It's just not wheels and stuff or a
Yeah,
helicopter. It's a vehicle, but it's a boat. But again, I get what you're saying with it, right? I think AWOC and Savage would both tremendously benefit
right.
because they would get that. Hopefully, they would get that supplemental, consumer purchases through the pack leader in Mythic Legions right now, just because of the market shares they own, right? Would see this and come to it. I think that would get Animal Wars of the Kingdom a spotlight on them, or Savage Crucible will get a spotlight on them that they may not be getting otherwise.
Yeah.
They need something different to break out, right? Like they're doing great work across the board in all of these
Yeah.
different lines. Like we're not talking about them because any of them are junk. We're talking them because they're all doing really good stuff.
And I think the thing is though is that with the rise of 3D printing, right? You're basically giving that money to somebody else. The other day we were on Radoms, we were just talking about pirate ships, and there's a ship on Etsy that's being sold, and it's basically just like a top deck with some railings, a wall, and then you know where the mast and stuff is, right? And it's a pirate ship dio, and it's 3D printed, but it's $190. I mean, if you did something like that, not necessarily a pirate ship, but something similar to that, right?
Yeah.
They're missing out, so other people are just doing it, right? Whereas,
Yeah.
like I was saying earlier, I think if you're going to sell a vehicle for $185, why not sell a playset for $185? You could sell it.
And you pointed it out, right? This goes back to what we said for 2026, what we want to see. We want to see bigger bets. We want to see bigger wins. We want to see a little bit more risk. The big guys, Mattel, Hasbro, they're not going to do this.
No.
And if they do, they're going to do it through some HasLab, and
Yep.
or they're going to do it like Mattel tried to do with the WCW entrance stage that
Yep.
failed and didn't get produced because they wanted too much money for it. And the reason it's not going to happen is because, and this isn't being critical of those guys, it's just being real.
Right.
Because they're not going to invest all of that money into a product that they're only going to get a little out of. There's
Right.
not a big win for them out of it. It's not a massive win. It's a creator or a collector's joy and passion, but it needs to be massively profitable for them to justify.
Right. Yeah.
But these other guys we're talking about, they can create a dragon just to say they built the biggest damn piece of
Right.
plastic
And the thing is, like on top, like with
toy
Savage,
communities.
yeah, with Savage and AWOC, right? Not only are they going to get the profit that they do get, which might be a few thousand as opposed to a few million like Hasbro and Mattel want, right?
Right.
So you're talking about a smaller scale. But for those two companies like that, you're talking about exposure because think about how much exposure that Dragon got Mythic Legions, and they were already well established, right? There's people that don't have anything to do with toys at all saw that Dragon and were like, holy shit, this thing is awesome, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely. You have people who collect the statue dragons and stuff, and they're like, "Wow, they have really cool detail on these metal like dragons that you buy at like the little stores and stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about, the hand painted things and stuff."
Yep.
And then you see the dragon from Mythic Legions, and you're like, "Damn, like that's as good, if not better, than some of these statues."
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's expensive, but you could do a heck of a lot. Like I can pose that how I want across the shelf above my TV if I want. Like
Yeah.
if I'm that kind of dragon crazy person.
Yeah, if you're a Dragon fan,
Yeah,
right?
I'm-
You got a 5 foot, 6 foot dragon in your living room on a shelf. I mean, talk about a centerpiece for your collection, right?
Yeah.
Sure beats the polystone, dragon statue that you thought was awesome.
Imagine if and this again isn't being imagine if the Mythic Legions folks, the Four Horsemen, imagine if they had decided to create that dragon 2 or 3 years before that when Game of Thrones was all
yeah.
the
Yeah.
all of the talk of the world,
Yep.
and there was the dragons breath or whatever, they were talking about the dragons on it, and like, oh, we're gonna see dragons and we're gonna get dragons. If there was a toy, you would have had all these people that may not have given a crap about toys that have been like, that's a cool piece
Yep.
because I love that, and it may not be the same, but I can put it in it. So you have this lore, you have exposure, take the risk. You're gonna make money. You saw it with things like the stands that the Savage Crucible's doing. You've seen it with Valaverse with the vehicles that the Vanguard and stuff that they've created. It's there. Consumers will back. I think worlds create emotional buy-in, and it's not just about shelf space. Yes, we have to be recognizing of that because people are running out of shelf space. But
Think about this, right?
right.
Hasbro just did the Kickstarter, was it, or not Kickstarter, the HasLab last year for the Cantina, right?
The Cantina, yes,
right, which is a playset, a diorama, whatever you
yep,
want to call it. And I thought that thing was so overpriced it wasn't even funny. It's still funded
yeah.
because people want that kind of stuff, right? Especially if it's something recognizable, right? And I don't mean recognizable as in everybody knows the Mos Eisley Cantina from Star Wars. If Savage Crucible did a tavern or a castle, let's say, or something like that, it's something recognizable that can be, people would be like, well, that's
A
awesome.
dungeon, something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. So let's go to the next slide here, because in the next slide we're going to talk, right? And please excuse the imagery. I used some AI tweaks to create this just to give myself an example of something I was thinking. But let's be honest. Standalone play sets are awesome, but they're risky. You talked about the Cantina. HasLab took that. They knew they were going to make money. Star Wars is one of the highest grossing
Oh yeah,
products and IPs in the world, and there's toy collectors like crazy. It's not really risky, let's be honest. That was just their excuse. That shit was going to sell. Maybe they didn't need to, maybe it wouldn't sell on a shelf, but that stuff was going to sell if you did it, direct.
yeah. It wouldn't have sold for that price in a store, but
Right. People would have waited for the clearance, just like they
yeah,
used to the elimination chambers for wrestling and
yep,
the bigger cost items that would come out. Tooling cost goes up though if you do an entire playset, right? The box
yep,
size goes up, the shipping goes up, price goes up. $40 to $60 playset might be doable, but $100+ playset, that's going to be a harder sell for an indie brand to do because the
yep,
cost of producing, that's going to be expensive. And if these standalone playsets doesn't move, that inventory is taking up a whole lot of space in the warehouse for these
yep,
smaller lines, tying up cash. So while standalone playsets would be awesome and incredible shelf space or centerpieces, it's not always going to be the smartest move, in my opinion, in general. But even more importantly, it's not going to be the best move for the indies. So, Ed, with that piece said, and keeping our mind and eyes around the complete playset, you're buying this playset. Maybe it comes with a figure, maybe it doesn't. You can see you got like some torture dungeon here.
yeah.
Kali was messing with people here, or maybe what are those guys? Not the Vanguard.
The
The Varnox were wrecking some people up down here, whatever.
Yeah,
Nashorn was doing something. Who knows? Or maybe the Zolocon exclusive from the Four Horsemen. The butcher dude looking guy. Maybe he's just
yep.
in here ripping people apart, right? Do you think collectors, when they say they want playsets, want big playsets like this, and they say they want them more than they would actually buy them?
I think there's a whole group of people that say that they would buy it and want it more than they actually would. You see it all
Yeah.
the time in a HasLab, right? And the Mattel creation, like the Jurassic Park, or even like some of the Motu stuff that Mattel has done, right? Oh yeah, we want this, we want this. Well, it's not exactly what I wanted, so I'm not really going to buy it now, right? It's like,
Yep. I mean, it's everybody loves the idea and the concept until
right,
the checkout, right? Heck,
yep,
it happened with the dragon. It happened with the dragon, right?
yep,
I want a
exactly,
dragon. I want a dragon. And I mean, they hit the numbers. Yeah, they did.
yeah. But
But
they
how many
probably
people want
had
that?
they launched that dragon for $300, they would have had 17 more, 17 times more people, right? I mean, it's
Oh,
just
but I mean, could they do it for that price? That's the thing.
yeah, exactly. They probably couldn't, but I'm saying like had they been able to, right, rotocast it or whatever the case may
Yeah,
be, right? So I think a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, I can't wait! I'm so excited about Dragon." Then they saw the $600 price tag, right, and they're like,
yeah,
"Ooh, $600 is a lot for a toy, right?" And that's what they would do with the play sets, right? Oh, I really want that
yeah.
play set. Oh, $200 for a play set is a lot of money, and it's going to take up, where am I going to put it, and yada yada yada. And it's like
Yep. Especially when it's
there's
a replay set like you see here, right? Something
right,
like, yeah. I mean, I feel between you and I think the complete playset as a single purchase, one big item, I don't think that's the way to go for
Right.
independent toys. I think
Right.
you leave that to the dio creators like Random Diorama and others out there that do this stuff. I think you leave it to them. You go with your commissions and you get what you want. It's a one of a
Yep.
kind, what you want. I think you save it for those guys.
I think it's
Other
similar
than
to what they did with the Fresh Monkey Fiction Naughty or Nice Santa Claus and the reindeer sleigh, right? It's like had they come out and said, "Here's 9 reindeer, with 9 different heads, well, 8 different heads and then Rudolph's head, and the
yep,
sleigh all together harnessed up. It's $600, whatever total is, right?
yep,
Maybe they sell it as a set for $50 less than if you bought each piece individually. People are still going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't need a sleigh
big
that
hit.
bad, right? Now, but they're all individual pieces. So, okay, well, I'll buy 2 reindeer for $45 this month, 2 next month, 2 the month after that, and then I'll grab the sleigh, right? And that's exactly
I think the way to have done that was to release one a year over the course of like multiple
or
years.
two. Yeah, I would
And
see like doing 2 a year for.
right, so that you could get the whole set
Yep.
without being like, oh, I got to put in like every month. Like I could have went 6 years without having the complete set.
Right,
That's the
exactly.
way I look at it. But I mean, that's how it is. But like, so I
Let's
think,
take a quick break and just run through the chat
yeah,
real quick. 'Cause there's some.
yeah, absolutely. And
Where was that? Okay.
don't share Terrence's newest one because
All right.
we'll cover that.
Uh,
on the next slide.
No one's saying one of my favorite play sets was the GI Joe Electric Train set. Was one of my favorite. Yeah, that was awesome. I never got one, but I did see it. Kenzo saying, "Whoa, Ed, we don't want to know about you taking your tiny little thing over to your buddy's house." 6YR saying, "I didn't have shit. I used to play on a pile of laundry, or, or build a base. We all did, brother. We all did."
Sig. When I was a kid, and it was after Joe's, and CVS was selling the core
Yeah.
characters. They would
Yep.
sell like 3 packs and singles with bikes and stuff. They were junk toys, but they still had the O rings in them,
Yep.
and I would use them. I like them. I would just take a huge down comforter. I would twirl it in circles and make like a pyramid, like mountain out of it. And like any cave was just because of the hole. I didn't have anything. That's what I had.
Yep.
That was
I
my
had
fort.
cardboard
Like,
boxes and blankets, pillows.
yep.
Maybe my dad.
We
My
had
dad used to save me. Like my dad was awesome. I didn't even realize it when I was a kid how awesome he was. Right. Like if my mom got a new carpet installed, right, he'd save like the trimmings off the carpet to use like for grass or whatever for me to play with. Right. Or
yep.
like he'd make something out of wood and he'd bring me a little piece of like a piece of chunk of wood that'd be perfect for like a bridge. But TD3 Trooper Troy Dotson's here saying, "What's up, my dudes? What's up,
So
Troy?" And John Emerald Knight Photos. What's up, John? No one's saying an AWOC Jungle Village playset would kick ass. That would kick ass for sure.
freaking oh man.
And a Viking boat. Yes, they would both kick ass. And we got Mr. Jim Largo in the house saying greetings. What's up, Jimbo? Dave's Dimension. Someone say 3D printing. Yeah, Dave's printing, talking about playsets, a 3D firehouse for the Ghostbusters, like the old Hasbro one, but in the 12 scale for the HasLab that he got.
Oh man.
Thing is huge. It's awesome looking, but he's 3D printing it because no one else is going to do
awesome.
it, right? Terrence saying, hello, friends. Yes. And Todd saying, most collectors complain about space. Exactly. I don't complain about space because I basically live with just my son and he doesn't care about my toys being all over the house, but they are literally all over my house.
Right.
You want me to not read this one?
Yeah, save that one. Save Terrence's last couple. Let's go to the
Okay.
next slide real quick.
Yep, we'll end with Terrence right there. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is where I think in Terrence you kind of open up to this, right? I guess we can open that, right? He says that, what was it here? He says he thinks the new way of play sets is something modular, and it's smaller, something you could assemble to fit in your space. Completely agree, and that's where I was going with this.
Yep.
You can see in the images here, right? Modular pieces, walls, accessories that go with that. The idea here is that, to me, it borrows from something we already understand. Build a figure. Instead of one large playset, each figure comes with a small modular, environment piece, a wall, a floor, a ceiling, a column, a doorway, a barricade, something like that. Buy one figure, cool. You've got a little bit of a backdrop, a piece for it. Buy 4 or 5 figures, now you're building the play set.
You know, if you really wanted to push the envelope, right, and get people to just buy the whole thing, and maybe you release it, one every quarter, a piece every quarter, or whatever, right? Do a build a dio with a build a figure that goes with that dio. So let's say it's a dungeon playset, right?
Could
And
do that.
you got the dungeon playset is in 6 pieces, and you got a figure that comes, as a dungeon master or whatever, right? 6 pieces,
Yeah.
right? So instead of having to put a $40 figure with the $80 playset piece, you do a 40 or $80 playset piece with the $10, figure piece, and put them out once a quarter. Bada bing, bada boom. You're talking money in the bank.
No, I mean there's a way to do it that way, modular piece. I was thinking more, to keep this cost spread out, tooling, still the figure. If you've got a 4 pack figure wave, you got a floor and a wall, and maybe you got 2 different walls, or maybe the wall that comes with one figure. Maybe 2 of the walls are the same, right? And the
Yep.
floor is one. Now you have 3 pieces. The fourth figure comes with some sort of dio accessory to kind of make the play set. Now you got 2 walls and a base, so you got a quarter angle. But here's the kicker: you make sure that that frame can connect to the next wave of figures. So it's not just build a figure, build a scene, or
Yep.
build a play set with one wave. You make sure that this uses some sort of modular connector that can connect from
Right. Or if you
multiple
want to buy,
waves.
double the size, right? If you want to buy 2 sets of everything, you can make the diode twice as big, right?
Exactly.
Make it expandable,
Exactly.
100% expandable.
Exactly. That's the way to do it in my eyes. Now you add in over multiple waves, the world's going to grow naturally, just like the roster does. And now you're putting those figures in places that are in that world. You're doing something the other lines aren't. Build a figure started to go away in a lot of the mainstream toys, the mainline stuff from Hasbro and Mattel. They still do a little bit here and there, but it's not as impactful as it was. Marvel's not seeing it nearly as much. The wrestling figures have some that they do it with, but I'm telling you, like, if this was a way that you could get the scenes and the play sets in one place, this gives it. Maybe when you're designing this, you do it so that, like, I mean, it's easier with the military based stuff or the Monster Force stuff. Like, you want to do a
Right.
building, it's real world stuff, right? Like the examples I have on the screen here, you can do it with. Even the fantasy stuff, you do some castles or dungeons, and these walls
Yeah.
all build and connect. The next wave, you do another section within that same cave and stuff. Even if it doesn't necessarily connect that next wave directly to it, there's a way that it all fits into that world,
Right.
right? So now you
Yep.
have that world building beyond just the figures, and it's one piece, right? And then if it's successful and people are buying it, and you find people are buying the figures, maybe you find a way, because you did the tooling, so you covered the cost of the tooling in that first, figure sale with the build a figure stuff. Well, now you have a parts library that you've already built out, that was paid for when the purchase of the figures were covered. That now, hey, once a year, you do a bundle playset of just the parts for that wave, and you do like a wave one playset pack, and it's
Yeah.
it's all those pieces. You throw 1 or 2 exclusive new pieces in there, boom, you just hit a bunch more sales that you weren't seeing otherwise, that were going to
Yeah.
Johnny
Uh,
designs this stuff
that
on his
one
own.
company did those like armory sets,
Yeah,
right?
and they connected.
You
Yep.
all connected together, right? But you could buy 17 of those things and pop them all together, right? Now, I had one of them. I have one of them. They're cool, but really one of them is not enough. So technically, if you wanted to build out a cool looking armory, you need like 3 of them, right? Smart stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you got, like you said, started doing bundles where the guy bought, they've already got the stuff, the one set from all your build a figure stuff, right? And then
You do
at the end,
you do one build a figure a year, right?
yep,
Maybe you do the one big build a figure a year, right, Ed? And then at the end of the year, you do a pre-order, for the 2026 play set, right? And then you pre-order it, and it comes out sometime first quarter, second quarter of 2027. And now people got the original, they loved it, they want some more pieces, they bought 2 or 3 more sets, just the sets, so they didn't have to get the guys. And the price point's a little bit more easier for the consumer, but still very profitable for the manufacturer too. I think
Yep.
that's a way to really the independent toys could have a huge hit here. I don't think this is a missing. I don't think this is an area that they would miss on if they did it right. You know,
Which,
so
real quick, Terrence saying honestly, he loves making his own dios now, but I know that's not for everyone. That's what we were saying in the beginning, Terrence, and you missed it. You know that a lot of people don't have the time, they don't have the money, they don't have the talent, whatever it is that they can't build the dios, right? So this is just a way to be able to give somebody something for taking photos or a better display or whatever without having to spend the money or the time or develop the skills to build it, to their standards.
exactly, exactly. That said, Ed, that wraps up the topic this week.
Action Joe Figs, what's up, my man? Glad you stopped by.
Awesome. Yeah, let's. If there's anything else in the chat you need to pull up, let's do that.
Terrence saying Jeremy Gerard recently addressed saying it's more costly than people realize, and for people who buy lots of multiples, it gets crazy trying to either chase the last piece. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like with what we're talking about, if you did it with a build a figure, you put it in a wave, and you don't play the game where you put, you know, the head with the character that nobody cares about. Most of these indie lines don't have many figures that people don't want anyway, so you don't really have to worry about that, right?
And here's the
And
thing: you have an example. I think to piggyback off that, right, Ed, is you have Savage Crucible. They do it with their blind bag stuff and the cards and all that stuff, right?
yeah,
They do that, and even with the
Varnox.
whatever they're called, Varnox, they there's two characters, but you're not guaranteed to get one of the
Right.
other. You might get two of the same if you mail them home.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing: they anticipate leveraging that community. And Four Horsemen, the Cabal, if anyone's got the community that, hey, I don't collect Dio playset pieces, I don't give a crap about those. There's a crap ton of people that are going to buy those pieces off
Oh,
you.
100%.
You're
Yeah.
gonna balance your
Yeah.
checkbook out.
I mean, I see.
Cost of
I
those
think
toys.
I think it's one of those things where, like with Hasbro's Build a Figure, right? A lot of these people will go out and buy the full wave, get the build a figure pieces, and resell that at a up, secondary market price. When you're talking about like the Savage that communities or the community that Savage is trying to build, right? The Cabal is already existing. Those type of
Yep,
people aren't trying to rip each other off, right? So if you got a
exactly.
guy that wants, buys two of whatever and has an extra wall piece and doesn't care about it, he's not going to go, well, I'll sell this, but I'm selling it for twice as much as it was, retail, right?
Exactly.
Whereas
Yep.
Hasbro, they built that up where people will pay that extra money, right? Real
Exactly.
quick, look who's here. Ted the man, what's up, my
Hey!
brother? Glad you
Woo!
stopped in.
He
Uh,
must have woke up and been like, "Oh shit,
yeah,
it's Sunday night."
he must have heard us talking about him, even though we weren't. Uh, Terrence saying, I feel some collectors don't want to pay for the die. I 100% agree. That we were saying that about the vehicles, right? Some collectors see the vehicle price and they're like, "Oh, I really want a vehicle. I really want a vehicle. Oh, I'm not paying that much for it. I want it to be $30 like I paid for my, toys back in the '90s," and it's not going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's crazy people like Travis and myself and you, Terrence, right? On the other hand, if we
Right,
like
right.
something and it's cool as shit, we're going to buy it some way or another. It's just going to happen.
Exactly. Exactly. Cool.
Terrence saying he can imagine ways to do this that would be very easy to repurpose with simple changes to the details and colors. Exactly. That's exactly what we're
Yeah,
talking about, right? Like if you build a
absolutely.
basic wall, it might be a dungeon wall this time. It could be the castle, the throne room next series, whatever it is, right? Just
Yeah,
trying to repurpose stuff, right? You do the same thing with
yeah,
these molds as they do with the figures. Repaint them, retool them, and you're good to go.
exactly. Exactly. So that said, Ed, I'm
The
looking to
dungeon
prove.
playset is definitely a
Yeah,
proof of concept for the indie toy industry for sure.
for
100%,
sure.
Terrence. I agree.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that's them teasing the waters. And I think before you joined in, Terrence, we talked about that. Is that AWalk and Savage? They're the ones most that could be the most opportunistic right now because they have the Mythic Legions in front of them that haven't taken this on. So they would make the bread and butter and the benefit from having a product that could be used by those Mythic Legions, collectors through their lines. So it's definitely out there, and we think that's an opportunity for those two to jump out and stand out beyond what they've already done, and in grabbing consumers that they may not have had, maybe grab some additional market share that's not been tapped by them yet. That said, Ed, we know that you will be with the punk. You will be on Monday night with Punk with Toys. You'll be there Thursday night with his friend, and
Yep.
then you got the Friday night with Random, and then
Yep.
you have your clubhouse on Saturday. We won't be here next Sunday because that is our week off, and it is also the Super Bowl, which nobody gives a crap about the teams that are left. Kenzo, I know your Broncos. You were rooting for them, brother. I was rooting for you because I know how much they meant to you, and my Giants had no stake in it. So, enjoy the Super Bowl for those that do. We'll be back again in 2 weeks on the 15th. I think we might talk Kickstarters.
I think that's a good idea. Kickstarters it is.
I think that's what we're going to do. That said, Ed, stay wonderful.